Hi babes, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be trying on some of the new Dior Forever Skin products which launched this year. Now the first product is the Forever Skin Veil SPF 20. Now, this is a makeup primer. It's going to extend the wear of your makeup, but at the same time, it's infused with skin hydrating properties, so you don't have to worry about it if you have drier skin as well. Now typically on the market, the long wear primers are not really designed for drier or more mature skins as well. And the hydrating primers don't typically help too much with the wear of your makeup, whereas this one tries to do both, so we're going to see how it performs. Now the second product is probably the star of the show, and this is their new Dior Forever Cushion Powder. Now get a load of this gorgeous ivory beige quilted compact. Obviously you can bring this out for touch-ups, which is fantastic. Now what is different about the Forever Cushion Compact versus something like this, which we are probably all very familiar with, the typical pressed powder or foundation compact? This is actually a loose powder. So if you take a look at the delivery system, you see a mesh compartment and the loose powder is actually housed under there. So every time you press your puff down, it dispenses a little bit of powder. The delivery is very controlled. You're not going to get a ton of powder when you press your puff into this one. So if you're in the habit of baking your makeup in the morning, you may want to do that with a separate powder beforehand. The other thing to bear in mind is this is a multi-purpose powder. You can use it to set your makeup because it's loose. You can bring it out for touch-ups over your face in the middle of the day if you want to mattify your face like a regular pressed powder. And you can do what I'm doing today and just use this as your powder foundation because it does have a light tint. Now in Singapore, this comes in 4 different shades: 010, 020, 030, and 040, which is a little bit of a corrector, kind of like a pinky lavender shade that I saw online. Now I have the shade light, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing because my box says light, and on some of the online e-commerce sites like TANGS, I'm seeing shades being differentiated 010, 020. Now, if I go by the usual Dior numbering system, then light would probably be 020. Now, Dior's claim is that this gives long wear perfection. It's an ultra-fine, fresh, loose powder for long wear, natural perfection any time of day. So it has a very, very silky texture. That one I agree with. It sets makeup and gives the complexion a subtle, velvety glow with no powdery effect. And it works in harmony with the skin tone to achieve an even, matte, and naturally vibrant complexion in any situation. Now, this has also been enriched with wild pansy extract. So this is supposed to help improve the quality of complexion over time. Now, I don't think you can get a load of pansy extract or any kind of skincare into a powder formula, so I would just not rely on this for your skincare. As usual, apply all your skincare and then, just treat this as makeup. What does excite me is the promise that this gives a velvety, beautiful matte finish without looking powdery, which is a godsend because, obviously I live in a really, really warm and humid place. And if you do as well, or you have oily combination skin, then you will really, really appreciate a powder that you can touch up without it getting heavier and heavier looking throughout the day. The last product of the day is the Dior Forever Perfect Fix Setting Spray. So this is supposed to set, refresh, as well as hydrate your makeup. It has film formers to help with the lasting power of your makeup. You can apply it as a last step after everything just to lock it down. It also has hydrating properties if you want to just refresh your makeup in the middle of the day, or if you've just touched up and it's looking a little bit too matte for your liking, you mist this over like any sort of a skincare mist. And of course, it gives a little bit of a hydration boost as well. So what I'm going to do today to let you guys see how each of these products performs is I'm going to be using the primer only on the right side of my face. I'm going to apply my concealer and then I'm going to be applying the powder on the entire face. Last step after I finish all my makeup is I'm going to be using the setting spray on the left side of my face. Hopefully at the end of the day you'll be able to see how the powder and primer performs on this side and then how the powder and setting spray performs on that side. Now, very quick first impressions. This side of my face where I used the primer and the powder feels a little bit more hydrated. Now, I do have dry skin on the outer portions of my face, and this is feeling really comfortable. On the side where I am just wearing the powder and the setting spray, it does feel a little bit tighter. So I do think this feels quite promising if you have slightly oilier skin. As for the powder overall, it does a fantastic job of blurring out all the pores that I don't want seen. So the inner cheek area is looking very, very refined. It just kind of glides over texture and it doesn't emphasize them. It's also very light. It's not cakey, and the creasing, which typically happens around my under eye area, is not very obvious at all with this powder. I do find the puff that comes with the compact is not great at picking up powder very evenly, and so it can go on slightly patchier. It's not the easiest tool to maneuver, so I'm very much more likely to use a blender or just this in the mornings. Just tap it on and then I will just keep this for touch-ups during the day. I do want to point out again that this is a tinted powder, and as I put it on half of my face, I could see that this side of my face was actually a little bit darker than this side. So it does grab on moisture and deepen up a bit as you apply it. So be aware of that when you are choosing shades. Technically speaking, you are expected to bring this out and touch it up because that's the whole point of it. So I'm not sure how fair it is to put this on and then expect it to last like a regular foundation for 8 to 12 hours, but I'm just gonna let you see how it wears down without touching it up, and then at the end of the night I will touch this up on top of itself so you can see whether it really holds true to the claim that it does not look powdery after touch-ups. Alright babes, it is now almost 6:30. I have been wearing this foundation for about 6.5 hours. Not quite the usual 8 hours, but I feel this is a loose powder foundation. I'm not going to be too harsh on it, and it is really meant to be brought out for touch-ups rather than worn for like 12 hours straight. So just very quickly, both sides look pretty good. I have to say there was no patchiness. The powder was not really sort of caking up or congealing around my pores. Again, this is a powder. It does not provide a whole lot of moisture or smoothing to dry skin areas. So pretty much about half an hour or 1 hour after application, both sides of my under eye, show these little crease marks already. And it's not the kind of crease mark that you can kind of smooth away because this is powder and it's already set. So if you have very, very dry or textured skin from crepiness and fine lines, then you may want to avoid applying a heavy layer of the powder in those areas. The powder does a pretty good job of not transferring off noticeably when you touch your face with a finger. I didn't get any gaps when I touched my hand to my face. It also managed to stay pretty matte and quite blurring all through the day around my inner cheek area. Now from a quick blot test, you'll be able to see that the side of my face where I used the primer but not the setting spray, there is a little bit more oil lifted off from there at the end of the day. On the other side where I just applied powder and then set with the setting spray, I did mention that it felt a little bit tighter at the start of the day. It was a little bit more dry feeling for my dry skin, but then at the end of the day, this was also the side where there was a little bit less oil. Other than this, the blotting sheet did not seem to lift off any of my makeup, so it does seem like both the primer and the setting spray, plus the powder itself of course, do a pretty good job of clinging onto the skin. The last test is touching up and how my skin is going to look after I layer on more powder on top of existing makeup. I'm just using the velvety puff that's supplied in the compact, and the powder is going on in a very, very light layer. It's almost not too noticeable where I am applying more makeup. So they were not kidding when they said that this mattifies without giving that very powdery look. All in all, I think I'm pretty happy with this product. While it does not have a lot of coverage by itself, it is very, very good at masking texture on the skin. So everywhere on my face except for under my eyes where I'm a little bit more dry and more prone to makeup creasing there. It's looking very beautiful everywhere else. The way that I would probably continue to use this is as an all-over powder foundation, but I would probably skip applying too much of it around the eye area because this is also the area where it tends to grab and darken on top of concealer, so it's not exactly the look that I'm aiming for. Now, I have worn this for several days in the past week under a face mask, and through warm days, hot days, humid days, it has done a very good job of staying quite fresh looking and not transferring off too much onto the back of my face masks. Now, final conclusion. I don't say this very often, but I do think this is a product that's pretty good for almost every skin type. You just have to adapt your base and how you're going to set it depending on your skin needs. Now, if you're a little bit dry, I would suggest obviously not applying it around your driest or most textured areas. I will probably just use concealer here and just have the powder around the other sides of my face to even out the complexion and mask some of the places where I have more visible pores. But otherwise, I'm really loving the fact that this has such light and fresh coverage. Obviously, for a lot of people, the gorgeous compact is going to be a huge factor in deciding whether to pick it up or not. For me personally, I just like the idea of a cushion that you can bring out, and I also very much prefer this to traditional powder compacts and powder foundations because I just feel those there's almost no way that something like this, which is hard pressed into a pan, is not going to look a little bit heavy as you touch up and layer it throughout the day, versus something like this, which comes in a loose powder compact where you can really control how light that veil of powder is as it goes onto your skin. The whole point of putting it in a compact like this is so you can bring it out and touch up anytime you feel that the finish is no longer looking the way that you want it to look. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you've tried it, please let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.